For 28 years, I thought the proudest moment of my life would be watching my only daughter, Ashley, walk down the aisle. Every sacrifice I made, every late night I worked, was for her. After her father and I divorced when she was 10, it was just the two of us. I wasn't just her mom, I was her homework partner, her taxi service, her shoulder to cry on. I was her one constant. But then, just 3 weeks before her wedding, a wedding I had already poured thousands of dollars into, she called. And it wasn't to practice our mother-daughter dance. It was to tell me, in this chillingly calm voice, that I was uninvited. Her stepmother, Clarice, would be taking my place as mother of the bride. She probably expected me to be heartbroken. To beg. To just fade away quietly. What she didn't expect was what I did with the $20,000 wedding gift I'd been saving for her. This isn't just a story about a broken heart. It's about the moment I stopped paying for my own erasure and decided to invest in someone who actually saw me. And believe me, the family meltdown that came next was bigger than any wedding reception. To really get why this hurts so much, you have to understand what Ashley and I had. After my ex-husband, Mark, left, life wasn't easy. I was working full-time as a paralegal and basically being both parents at once. We didn't have a glamorous life. We had a life of clipped coupons, second-hand uniforms, and me staying up until 2 a.m. helping her finish a diorama of the solar system. I can still smell the burnt toast from those early mornings when I'd be quizzing her on vocabulary words, both of us half asleep. I was the one holding her hand through a bad case of pneumonia, the one who taught her to drive in a huge, empty parking lot. Mark, he was distant. The child support checks came, usually on time, but he wasn't really there. About 5 years after we split, he married Clarice. She was a woman who looked like she was permanently ready for a photo shoot at the country club, perfectly polished, with this quiet, judgmental way of looking at you that made my worn-out jeans and chipped nail polish feel like a personal failure. As a teenager, of course, Ashley was dazzled by their lifestyle. Suddenly, her life included ski trips to Aspen, designer handbags, and a brand new convertible for her 16th birthday. I could never give her those things, and I never held it against her. I wanted her to have everything. But I started noticing a little shift. She'd make small comments, like, "Clarice says you're not supposed to wear white after Labor Day," or "Clarice thinks it's weird you don't have a cleaning service." They felt like tiny paper cuts, each one a quiet little critique that I knew came directly from her stepmother. I was slowly being painted as the lesser parent, a little too messy, a little too loud, a little unrefined. Still, I held on to our bond. When she went to college, who did she call, sobbing, after her first failed test? Me. Who drove 4 hours with a car full of chicken soup when she had the flu? Me. I was her emotional bedrock, and her father and Clarice were her financial backers. It was a deal I accepted because I loved my daughter more than my own pride. When Ashley called me, screaming with excitement to tell me she was engaged, I thought my heart was going to burst. We cried together over the phone, and I immediately went into mom mode. "We need a binder," I said, and the very next day, a white binder with Ashley's dream wedding in gold letters was on its way to her. At first, it was perfect. We'd FaceTime for hours, looking at venues and dresses. She wanted a classic, elegant wedding, and I was all in. I had been saving for this day since she was born. I told her I had $20,000 set aside for her, as a down payment on a house or just to start their new life. On top of that, I insisted on paying for her wedding dress and the deposit on her dream venue, this beautiful old manor with huge gardens. I wrote that $5,000 check for the venue deposit without blinking. I went with her to the fanciest bridal shop in the city, and when she walked out in this stunning lace gown, I just started crying. "You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen," I told her, and paid the $4,000 for the dress right there. The first red flag popped up about a month later. Ashley called me, and her voice was hesitant. "Mom," she said, "Clarice has some ideas about the caterer." Apparently, the one we'd picked wasn't good enough for Clarice. She knew someone much better. I felt a prickle of annoyance but said, "Honey, it's your day. Whatever makes you happy." But it didn't stop. A week later, it was the flowers. Then, the color scheme. The soft blush and gold we'd chosen was suddenly a little dated. Clarice wanted a stark, modern white and silver theme. Suddenly there's a group chat for wedding planning, and I notice Clarice is texting Ashley privately all the time. Then, Ashley would present these new ideas as if they were her own. She was becoming her stepmother's puppet. I was being pushed out, my role changing from co-planner to just an ATM. And from there, the disrespect just kept escalating. I tried to talk to Ashley about it gently. "Honey," I said one day, "it feels like Clarice is making all the decisions. I just want to make sure this is still your wedding." She got so defensive. "She's just helping, Mom. She has good taste, and Dad is paying for most of this, so she should get a say." That stung. But the "Dad is paying for most of this" part felt like a knife twist. My contributions, the dress, the deposit, the 20 grand gift I was holding onto, were apparently nothing compared to her father's bank account. I was being treated like a junior partner at my own daughter's wedding. Then came the bridal shower. Clarice hosted it at their country club and sent out an email with a guest list made up almost entirely of her friends. My own sister wasn't even on it. I had to call Ashley and fight just to get my sister an invite. When I got there, I felt like a complete stranger. Clarice was holding court, soaking up compliments on her planning and calling Ashley our daughter. I spent most of the time sitting in a corner with my sister, just feeling this deep, profound sadness. I tried to focus on what I could control. I suggested that she and I go look for my mother of the bride dress. Just the two of us. She agreed, but the day before we were supposed to go, she bailed. "Oh, Clarice and I actually went yesterday," she said, way too cheerfully. She found the perfect dress, and we wanted to make sure our dresses coordinated. I didn't say anything. I just felt this cold numbness. The rejection was so casual, so thoughtless. It was becoming clear that my presence was being tolerated, not wanted. The final blow came on a Tuesday, 3 weeks before the wedding. My phone rang. It was Ashley. Her voice was completely flat. "Mom, we need to talk." "Of course, sweetie. What's wrong?" There was this long pause. I heard her take a shaky breath. I have to make a change to the guest list." My heart started pounding. I knew. I just knew what was coming. "Okay," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "It's just. Clarice is really stressed," she said. "And you know how you and Dad get. There's always tension. She's worried there's going to be drama at the wedding. She just wants the day to be perfect for me." "Drama?" I asked, my voice cracking. "Ashley, when have I ever caused drama? I have done nothing but smile and write checks while that woman took over your entire wedding." "See? This is what I mean," she snapped back. "You're getting emotional. Clarice just wants a peaceful day. Dad thinks it's for the best. He's going to walk me down the aisle, and Clarice will be there as the mother of the bride. It makes more sense." Every word was a punch, shattering what was left of the dream I'd held onto for 28 years. I was being disinvited from my own daughter's wedding to keep the peace. The rejection was so total it felt like I couldn't breathe. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. It's a strange feeling when the thing you've been dreading finally happens. A weird, cold calm just washed over me. I thought of every sacrifice, every late night, every bit of love I had poured into this girl, only to be thrown away for her stepmother's convenience. "Okay," I said, and my voice was eerily steady. "I understand." Ashley actually sounded surprised that I wasn't fighting her. "Oh. Okay, Mom. Thanks for being so understanding. I knew you'd want what's best for me. Yes, I said, the words tasting like poison. I always have. I hung up the phone. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I didn't cry for her. I cried for myself. After the grief came a cold, hard clarity. My daughter made her choice. She chose her stepmother. She chose money and appearances over the woman who raised her. So, I had to make a choice, too. I could fall apart, or I could finally stand up for myself. The next morning, I made some calls. First, the wedding venue. I calmly told the coordinator that I was retracting my financial contribution and that the $5,000 deposit I paid was now void. They'd need to contact Mark and Clarice to secure the date. Next, the bridal boutique. I explained the situation and canceled the final payment on the dress, telling them the bride's father would be handling the remaining balance. Then, I went to the bank. I looked at that $20,000 in the account labeled Ashley's wedding gift. And I thought about my niece, Sarah. My sister's daughter. A brilliant, hard-working kid who just got into her dream college but had no idea how she was going to pay for it. A kid who never forgets my birthday, who sends me dumb memes to make me smile, who has always, always treated me with love. I transferred the entire $20,000 to a new account for Sarah's college fund. It wasn't about revenge. It was about redirecting my love and support to someone who actually valued it. It was about finally setting a boundary. The fallout was immediate. My phone started blowing up. First, a text from Ashley, "Mom, the venue called Dad? Said your check bounced? What's going on?" I didn't answer. An hour later, a call from my ex-husband, Mark. He was furious. "What the hell do you think you're doing? Are you trying to ruin your own daughter's wedding?" "No, Mark," I said calmly. "I'm just not paying for a party I'm not invited to. You and Clarice wanted to be the parents of the bride? Congratulations. The job is all yours. You get to pay for all of it." He was sputtering, but I kept going. "And as for her gift? I gave it to someone who actually appreciates me. I gave it to Sarah for her college tuition." The silence on his end was incredible. He hung up. The grand finale was the call from Ashley that night. She was sobbing. Hysterical. "How could you do this to me? You took my gift. You gave it to Sarah. You're just trying to punish me." "No, Ashley," I said, my voice firm but not cruel. "This isn't a punishment. It's a consequence. You uninvited me from the biggest day of your life to make your stepmother happy. You treated my love as disposable, but you felt entitled to my money. You don't get to have it both ways. That gift was based on a relationship that you decided to end. I chose to invest it in someone who is proud to have me in her life. I wish you well, but my involvement, emotionally and financially, is over." I ended the call, and for the first time, I felt peace. I had finally removed myself from the picture they kept trying to erase me from. In the end, Ashley had her wedding. I saw a few pictures online. It was much smaller than they had planned, at a different place. She looked beautiful, but her smile looked tight. I didn't feel angry when I saw them. Just a quiet sadness for the relationship we lost. My sister called me a week later, crying with gratitude. Sarah was over the moon and already planning her first semester, totally free from the stress of student loans. She sent me this long, beautiful letter that I have framed on my desk. In it, she wrote, "You didn't just give me money, Auntie. You showed me what it means to have dignity and self-worth. This whole thing taught me a painful, but powerful lesson. Family isn't always about who you share blood with. Sometimes, it's about who shows up for you, who values you, and who loves you without an agenda." My daughter chose her new family, and by doing that, She set me free to see the real family that had been there all along. I lost a daughter, but I got my self-respect back. And that's a gift no amount of money can ever buy. What do you think? Did I do the right thing? I really want to know your thoughts, so leave them in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story hit home for you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories about getting through life's biggest messes. Thanks for listening.